Hello, comrades. Welcome back to my channel. Have you ever noticed that specific feeling when you are scrolling through your feed? There is this constant stream of images, these perfect stage living rooms, specific aesthetic choices, a very consistent look to everything. It's not just about what we like or we don't like, it's a recurring visual pattern. When you see it, there's a strange, almost stereo quality to it. I've been thinking about why that is. Why so much stuff we consume online feels so sanded down. It feels like all the edges, all the friction, all the messy, all the unscripted parts of our real life have been removed, leaving us with this highly processed, uniformed version of real life. It's interesting to observe our own reaction towards it. We don't necessarily call it ugly or beautiful, it's just normalized. But I think there's a tension there. We seem to have developed a very low threshold for anything that seems like uncurated. Everything feels that raw or irregular can trigger this unease. And I'm curious about that. Why this uncurated, not polished thing will make us feel something that we should avoid? If we look closer at this preference for polished images, we start to see a deeper dialectic, what Hegel called the movement of negation. We tend to treat beauty and ugly as polar opposites. But perhaps they are not opposites at all. Perhaps they are two sides of a same coin. You can't fully grasp one without acknowledging the existence of the other. The more we refine and purify our visual environment, the more we inevitably create a definition of the ugly, which is simply anything that hasn't been subjected to the same kind of purification. And this is where it gets interesting, especially if we look at it through someone's eyes, like Nietzsche. He talks about life as an expression of power and vitality. When we talk about things that labeled as ugly, the raw, the unrefined, the chaotic, we are talking about things that still possess a certain kind of wildness. They haven't been set down by algorithms or packaged by market trends. Sometimes I think we mistake our pursuit of beauty for something aesthetic. When in reality, we're just pursuing safety. We want things to be predictable, we want that sense of security. But ugly, or at least the raw, is inherently aggressive. It's a reminder that life isn't always balanced or neat. By pushing it away, we're not just rejecting an aesthetic, we are rejecting a part of life's its own intensity. And I want to be clear, this isn't about dismissing beauty entirely. That would be a mistake. There's a real, undeniable value in harmony. Beauty, in its purest sense, acts like a architecture for human spirits. When we create something beautiful, whether it's a thoughtfully arranged room, a piece of art, or just a well-crafted routine, we are doing something profound. We are imposing order on chaos. We are creating a space where the mind can rest. Think of it as a form of grace. When you encounter something truly beautiful, it doesn't just please the eyes, it centers you. It offers a moment of clarity in a noisy world. So the danger is not about the beauty itself. The danger is when beauty is used as a mask, when we use it to cover up our struggle rather than elevate them. True beauty, I think, should be expansion of reality, not a reduction of it. It's not about removing the rough parts of life. It's about arranging them in a way that allows us to see their potential. It's different between a filter that hides who you are and an aesthetic that celebrates your complexity of existence. So, where does this leave us? We talk about beauty and ugly like they are just aesthetic choices. But if we dig a little bit deeper to how our digital world actually works, we are forced to face something much more fundamental and much more uncomfortable, which is the power. Think about the structure of it. Who actually gets to decide what is beautiful? What is deemed acceptable? What is desirable? Or what is worthy of our limited attention? It's never a neutral choice. It's a standard imposed from the outside, by algorithms, by market forces, by an invisible consensus about what a successful life should look like. Whoever defines the standard of beauty, in a very real sense, holds the key to the internal standards of our living. They determine the threshold of our satisfaction. The point isn't to fetishize ugliness or performatively create chaos. That's just another form of theater, another form of hollowness. We aren't here to rebel for the sake of it, or to trade one aesthetic cage for another. The real objective is to recreate the power of definition. True aesthetic freedom isn't about choosing the next trend, nor is it about blindly rejecting the mainstream. It's about being bold enough to look directly at the part of your life that society or fate labels as ugly. The quiet anxiety, the exhaustion of workday, the clutter in your room, those raw, uncurated, non-glossy moments of your daily existence. Not saying them as failure, not saying them as defects of patchover, but as the primary evidence of your reality. When you shift your perspective, when you start to view these imperfect parts of your life, proof of your own existence, rather than as a problem need to be fixed by a filter, something fundamental shifts within you. You stop to asking permission to be real. You stop waiting for external validation that tell you you are enough. You are no longer just a consumer of other people's aesthetics. You become the active owner of your own life experience. And when you move from an consumer to an owner, you realize that this reclamation of perspective, this refusal to let someone's beautiful to dictate your worth, is the only kind of freedom that actually matters. It's a moment you stop to performing your life and start to inhabiting it. We live under an age that demands us to optimize every single moment for engagement, transforming our lived experiences into content to be consumed. But that's a trap, and it's a very expensive one. It costs you your presence. I would rather to be ugly than live inside a hollow cage of standardized aesthetics. Because at the end of the day, the cage was never meant to be your home. It was meant to be a showroom, a place to perform with audiences that don't even know you. I would rather have life that is raw, occasionally uncomfortable, but is entirely my own. Because that is the only place where the true meaning can actually take the root.